Down the Biscayne.
Yikes. 5 on the floor, ride for my dogs. Where here's the thing, you can check the score. Hustle hard, couple scars, wearing bubble frogs. Just like Bucker said, you in trouble, y'all. Kept the floor playing, got it all banned. Y'all seen the block, stop with one hand. And Pat we trust.
You sound scared.
It's power, have the guts. We're here to bring the heat. Y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Also, make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
Welcome back to another post-game edition of 5 on the Floor. I'm your host, Greg Sylvander. Tonight's floor plan with me, Digital Adel. Unfortunately, we're going to recap the Miami Heat's pretty embarrassing home loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers, 126-106. I guess it should come to no surprise that the Cleveland Cavaliers are a good basketball team, number 1 seed in the East. At one point throughout the season, I don't know that they still are. They were on a 70-win pace. I don't know that that'll shake out, but clearly the Heat were outclassed. We're going to get into the reasons why. Before we do, want to shout out Discord. Off the Floor is the name of where you will get the most heat anywhere. This is where you'll have 10 channels where you can talk about all kinds of stuff, but the main thing, chat, is where all the Heat fans are talking Heat 24/7, trade rumors. We're providing updates as Ethan or I get information. We're putting it on Off the Floor first. $2.99 a month. Bypass the Apple upcharge by clicking in the link in this description. Off the Floor, the most heat anywhere. So starting there, on the floor for the Heat tonight, Adele, it was rough. I guess I would say this. It felt like they had something to build on late in that Orlando game when they went big.
Right.
It didn't seem like they necessarily, I don't think they ever tried the lineup where Nico, Ware, and Bam were in the front court.
Right.
I think that this was a team, particularly with Cleveland having Mobley and Allen, that maybe you should try something like that, because it clearly, if you look, if you watch this game, the rebounding edge, 47-35, they were outmatched. They're outclassed to a degree against this Cleveland Cavalier team. And I think that this is also informative of where the Heat stand in the conference. They are definitely a tier below. There's a talent gap there. These are things we need to acknowledge, especially as they're in a transition moment with Jimmy Butler. We're not going to talk Jimmy Butler on this episode. Adele, your major takeaways before we get to the player of the game.
So my major takeaways are prior to the game on playback, with the big lineup, with Ware, with Bam, things that the fans have been clamoring for. We saw a little bit of growth in areas from Ware. He had a good 7 to 8 game stretch, a good bounce back after not having a good game the game previous. And what I wanted to see, my keys to the game coming in, what I wanted to see was competitiveness and fight down low, because we've got the thing that everybody's been wanting, which is Bam and Ware playing together. That'll solve your rebounding problems, the points in the paint problem, the defensive issues. And guess what? The Cleveland Cavaliers scored 68 points in the paint.
Whoa.
To Miami's 38. And they got out rebounded. What'd you say?
I said ball game. No, but
yeah,
continue.
Ball game. Game over already. No other stats are required. And the Miami Heat got out rebounded 50-43 as a team. Mobley had 15, Allen had 10. I believe it might be vice versa. Let me check. Yeah, Mobley had 15, Allen had 10 boards. Bam tried to do his part with 8, even though he wasn't great on the glass either. But Kello Ware, not to jump on the rookie, I know he's young and learning, but he didn't bring the fight tonight. He really just didn't bring the fight tonight. And neither did the entire team.
It was clear that Ware had a rookie night tonight against a well-oiled machine in Cleveland, who is poised in this regular season to rattle off a ton of victories. I don't know that will translate to postseason success. That's we'll see how that goes. I still probably would pick Boston in a series, but in the regular season, this Cleveland team, they're going to exploit you if you are not going to be boxing out. And we watched on playback, and there were so many plays where they just did not box out, and it hurt them. And there were second chance points and possessions that they just did not end. You have a good defensive possession, get to the end of the shot clock, and then and don't finish the play. And then also just straight up the lineup decision to not go with that bigger lineup that I think Heat fans wanted to see. It seemed as if at least the feedback on playback, which is a small sample size of about 100 that watch with us. Shout out to all y'all on playback who watch. But it's a situation where everyone was clamoring for that lineup because of how it worked against Orlando. I know it's different circumstances. Spoelstra probably saw different things. I'm interested to hear if he mentions anything about that in the post-game comments. We shall see. But let's get to our first segment, the Insurance by Lynette Player of the Night.
And now it's time for the A-Aggressive Insurance Player of the Night, sponsored by our friend Lynette. You can find her at insurancebylynette.com. That's with 2 N's and 2 T's, insurancebylynette.com. If you need car insurance, renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance, or any other type of insurance, she's the person to go to. Based in Lauderhill, she services the entire Tri-County area here in South Florida, and she will make sure to get you the best deal. She'll probably talk to you about the Heat while you're at it. Reach out to her, insurancebylynette.com. And now, the player of the game.
Because I don't know that he's going to get the opportunity to get this accolade for the rest of the regular season. Tonight's player of the game goes to scary Terry Rozier, 8 of 13 from the field. Spo, we joked that Spo wasted a good Terry Rozier game. 22 points, 2 of 6 from 3. 8 of 13 from the field, as I said, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, got a steal, 2 turnovers. There were some obvious boneheaded plays from Terry. I'm kind of trying to make light of what otherwise was a nondescript game from a lot of guys. So Terry gets the nod tonight. Adele, is there anybody else you want to shout out just from the Miami Heat's perspective? I mean, if you look across the court at what Cleveland had, Donovan Mitchell had a breakout great game with 34 points. Evan Mobley, 22 and 15. They got another double-double from Jared Allen. Max Strus had his moments, including a baseline dunk where he looked like he's getting up, but maybe a little higher than he did in Miami. Well, maybe not, but what plays for like from your perspective? I completely lost my train of thought.
That's all right. I got you, man. I want to piggyback off what you said about Terry real quick. He played a good game, and one of the things that's going to do for you, if you can at all, is recoup some trade value for him. 22 points, like you said, 4 rebounds. He's a good rebounding guard. And going back to my initial opening of not being good enough on the boards and boxing out, the point of attack defense was really porous, which was causing defensive rotations by Ware, by Bam, going after block shots, and those guards got to dig back and rebound, and they didn't do that well at all. But what I want to point out is Bam actually had a really good game statistically. He had 21 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 block shots, and he had 3 assists. So I think he actually had a really good statistical game. It's just whenever you have all these other collapsing issues around the club, he had 4 turnovers. And so that's going to make your game look a lot worse because you're turning the ball over. So all those great stats that he did accumulate, you just cannot turn the ball over nearly that much. Another player that I think had a good game that shouldn't be overlooked is Tyler Hero. Even though it wasn't his typical, carry the team type night, 22 points on 40% shooting from 3. He shot 45% from the field, and he had 6 assists. And one of the things I think the Heat need to really do more of, with Ware in the lineup, Duncan in the lineup, and Tyler in the lineup, they need to have Duncan be that pick and roll guy with Ware, because he throws some of the best lobs on the team, and that'll allow Tyler to get off ball, come off like curls and screens off that secondary action. I'd love to see that a little bit more with those Duncan, Ware, Bam, Hero minutes.
It makes a lot of sense. And they opened with those guys along with Haywood Highsmith, who started the game as basically the point of attack defender on Donovan Mitchell. And in another segment, we're going to talk more about the defense because, oh gosh. But I think you're onto something in that this was a big test for the big front court that Miami has trotted out. And they needed to approach this game with a certain disposition. And you started the show by saying like that intensity level had to be there. This team was too good. They only had 7 turnovers. Like when I say they're a well-oiled machine, they are. And, the Heat were not that tonight, and it showed quickly. You're not going to beat good teams, especially when you don't have, a $48 million player. That's a large percentage of your payroll out on the court as the Jimmy Butler situation continues to carry on. Let's get to the next segment. We'll actually do defending the house next.
And now it's time for our Defending the House segment, sponsored by our friends over at The Real Estate Shop. You can find them at realestateshopfl.com. That's with 2 P's and an E, realestateshopfl.com, or at the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram. This is Javier Iglesias and Amanda Martin. They help buyers and sellers in real estate. They're nimble and protective of their clients. They service the entire Tri-County area. That's Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties with a proven on-market strategy. The Real Estate Shop sellers earn the most money in the shortest time frame because Amanda and Javier have a deep understanding of the local market. So check them out. Again, it's at the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram, realestateshopfl.com, or give them a call at 954-268-9812. And now, who defended the house?
Nobody defended the house. And I'm interested, Adel, to hear your perspective on what the hell they were doing against Ty Jerome. This guy off the bench, 20 points, 9 of 18, 7 assists, only 2 turnovers. He killed them. 9 of 18, I said 2 of 8 from 3. Felt like it was worse than that, though.
Right.
What was up with, I guess we could just chalk this up to that they're a point of attack defender or 2 short. But what is this with guys getting into the paint? It's not just big guys. It's not just the big men that were doing this. You had guys breaking down the defense. Craig Porter Jr. had a couple moments like that too. How do you fix that when you've got basically your 2 biggest, tallest defenders out on the court, and it's ultimately not deterring people from getting to the rim?
I'll be honest with you. You don't fix it. There's not a way to, and I'll explain this the best way I can. People are getting mad at Eric Spoelstra for how often he's switching his lineups this year. And it's because he's trying to find something that works. And he just hasn't been able to find anything that works. It's like plugging holes on a sinking ship with your finger. You're eventually just going to sink. And so that's what's happening. They just don't have enough point of attack defenders, not enough length on the perimeter. And you saw George Niang getting into the paint. You saw Ty Jerome, Max Strus, Craig Porter Jr. And then again, not the pile on where Bam was bad at this too. Chasing shot blocks leaves you vulnerable on the rotations. Where did that a lot? Bam did it a few times, and he's been in the league a lot. But I do want to point out one guy, very nondescript stat line. He had 2 rebounds. He had 2 assists, and that's Pelle Larsson. He had 1 steal, but he also had a charge. He did a lot of things that aren't going to show up in the box score. When he came in the game, the point of attack defense and ball pressure kind of ratcheted up a little bit for a stretch. Mm-hmm. And taking charges is something this team doesn't do. When have you ever heard of a Miami Heat team not taking charges?
I know. It's what's really been, if you had to say the one thing on court that bothers me the most, and people are going to, probably say there's so many other things to be bothered by, it's that this team doesn't take charges. And I'm so used to Miami Heat teams taking charges. And so I think that they need to play Pelle Larsson a little bit more. I think that it's time to explore how to get more minutes for him if he's going to do the little things like that, because you're right. Like they need a dose of that in the worst way. They don't have enough guys in the rotation, particularly if Kevin Love's not playing, that are willing to take charges on a regular basis. So that's a really great point there. We're going to wrap quickly tonight. So let's get to the next segment, the mobile C-arm and staffing X-ray play of the day.
And now it's time for the X-ray of the play of the day, brought to us by our friends over at Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services. Nelson and his team will bring the X-ray equipment and the staffing to you. If you work in a hospital or a medical office, get a consultation today at c-armandstaffing.com or give them a call at 561-891-9620. Their fleet of trucks at your service. Again, it's Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services, 561-891-9620. And now, the X-ray of the play of the day.
Well, the one play I'm bringing to the table was not one that we want to remember for Tyler Hero's sake. He was guarding Donovan Mitchell late in that game. Maybe not late in the game, but early fourth quarter, late third. Right now, the details are murky, but he got him going to the basket and changed directions, and Hero got completely faked out. And that was the play of the night. I wish I could articulate it better, but for Tyler's sake, let's just try to forget that it ever happened. Any other play jump out at you?
Well, a play from the Heat side where Ware kind of got the ball on a short roll into the lane. And I'll be honest, I was a little concerned at first because he kind of was like Euroing a little bit. And I was like, that's not really in his bag. And he found Bam on a cut, a very nice pass to Bam. So that Ware to Bam play, I thought was a really good illustration of potential things to come for Ware as a short roller. Because right now he's just a hard roll lob threat. So if he can start being a little bit of a short roll facilitator here and there to keep the defense honest, I think that would be good for his growth long term.
Yeah, Haywood Highsmith too, for as much as I don't think that he was, up for the challenge against Donovan Mitchell, because who is? Right. He did have a couple stretches in tonight's game where he got hot and provided some offense. I thought it just wasn't enough. And I don't know that he's the answer in this starting group. We'll ultimately see where that goes. We appreciate all of our sponsors. Check us out on Discord, Off the Floor, $2.99 a month. It is worth your time. It is worth investing in Miami Heat talk that transcends the other social media apps. We will have you covered for the trade deadline, and then leading up through the playoffs into the draft season. Everything will be on Off the Floor. So check that out. Thank you to Adel for your time. The Miami Heat lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers 126-106. We will see where they go next, because obviously the Jimmy Butler trade situation we will continue to monitor. But there's a couple days between the next game, and that tends to be when sometimes things can get heated up. So let's see what happens, and should be interesting. Thanks for joining us.